from our two plants, we are sending out about 250 to 300 vehicles per day. It is a big logistics operation. So that's why you must be seeing trucks with BSRM stickers all around the city. They are not our trucks, by the way. We believe in core competence. We believe one should be focusing on core competence. So we outsource whatever activity possible. We try to outsource it. And of course, I've already told you about another strength of our CSR, which we really feel proud in doing and feel a lot of satisfaction coming out of it. HR is also a very big strength, and we do a lot of HR activity within the company, and we try to have all the modern practices of HR. For example, we have the performance management system, which you must have studied in the HR course. We have job descriptions. We have competencies defined within our company. So we do a lot of whatever the good practices of HR are. We are doing it, and still we are yet to do much more. So we are still on the journey of better and better HR practices. We have been a pioneer, as you've seen. Every time we introduce something new in the country, so that is a big strength for us, and we strive on that. We are proud of it, and we will, continue to do this in the future. Our challenges are, with all this growth, how to manage it internally. When you are growing, it is very easy to say, okay, the company is growing, but what the company is going through internally, that is very different. Nobody thinks about it generally. Because when you are growing, you have to be able to handle all the additional work in a proper way, in a cost-effective way. So you need to have a structure, which I showed you earlier. This structure we made maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and I know in another about maybe 5 years or so, we have to change again the structure if we keep on growing. So we continuously change ourselves. We continuously evolve ourselves. We continuously have programs running within the company for all the people to align to the whole strategy of the company. Everybody has to understand what where the company is, how we are going to go and reach that goal. For that, we have a lot of programs running within the organization. Then, of course, there are also external factors, and like dealing with the government. It is a challenge, and dealing with local issues, local problems, traffic, some contractor problems. There are lots and lots. The problems are limitless, but you have to have the internal capacity to be able to manage it. If I, as managing director, was going to manage everything, our company would never grow like this. It's all about teamwork that we do, and it's the shared vision, the shared values, the shared goals and objectives, which promotes team building. And this is a challenge always for us to ensure that our teams are working well, they have a good relation with each other, they have a good understanding of each other, and we keep on doing some sort of activity for our team building. From your own students' point of view, when you graduate, you would be thinking about your career. Somebody might become an entrepreneur, somebody might run some family business, or somebody might join a company for some, become a professional. Somebody might decide, okay, wants to go into law. Somebody might decide wants to, do chartered accountancy. So your gut feel about the career that you want to choose is very important. Nobody will tell you, okay, a lot of people may tell you, okay, this is good, that is bad. Everybody has their own opinion. For me, going into any sector is good, as long as you are motivated for it, you are for it, and you feel that you are suited to that. It's very important to understand from your own perspective where you think you are suited. I see some ladies here also, and I would really recommend you that when you graduate, do work, use the education that you have. We need more and more women in the society working, because it is really part of our the country that the vision that we have as a country, the government vision 2050 and all. So when the women come into the professional life in corporate areas, it really changes the perspective of the corporates, and also it's a good opportunity. We try to hire women wherever possible. We have women working in our organization. Logical thinking is very important that we look for in all our employees when we are hiring, because today just being knowledgeable on a particular subject is really not good enough. We want people to make decisions, be able to make decisions. So for that you need to have good logical thinking ability. Knowledge on subject matter is very important. So suppose if you are going for an interview for a finance job, somebody asks you a basic question, what is NPV, IRR, all these things, you should know that. And because these are, when you go into a finance role, for example, these basic tools you need to know, what you have learned, because this is what you will be doing initially. Focus is important. I see that when you go into a company, make sure when you go, you think very carefully, because it looks really bad on a person's CV if a person keeps on switching jobs. So if a person joins an organization and then say for a little bit more increment in salary switches, then again he switches, then again he switches, it reflects bad, because for a company, it is we in the initial years of a person joining an organization, is the company who is spending the money. Because what we have seen, it takes about a year or two, I would say about 2 years for any person in an organization to pay back to the company or to work towards some goals achievement of the company, have some decision making power. So initially we are always nurturing. Of course, the employee also does contribute to the performance of the company, but it is very important that you focus. Don't just take a job for the heck of it. Change once, yes. You should have the mentality of changing when you see that you are actually going one step up in your career. If you think that, okay, if I move there, I'll take a more, a bigger role maybe, or if your growth is somehow restricted where you are and you see you are not going to grow in future, then maybe things like that you can see. Communication skills is extremely important. We see that people, a lot of times, we cannot communicate. We communicate, but we don't know what the other person understood. We say one thing, the person understands something different. In organization, there is a lot of negotiations. In organization, there is a lot of work going on where there could also be some disputes with the contractor. Maybe the contractor did not do a particular job that he was supposed to do, and then you have to sit with them. You have to communicate. You have to come out with a solution, and then move on. Because every time, it is just not practical in any organization that you start fighting. Fighting is not an option. Solution is what we always focus on, and for that, generally communication skills are very important. Your attitude is very important. Attitude towards work, attitude towards having a positive attitude is extremely important. So when we are hiring people, we are looking, we are trying to find out in the interview whether what importantly, being a team player. Today, we value more a person who will be good in a team rather than individual brilliance. Individual brilliance is also important, but a lot of work today in organizations happens in teams, and this culture of being in a team, being able to handle each other. So that's why all other things become very important, like communication skill, attitude, being honest and genuine. All those attributes of your personality matter a lot when you're working in teams. And I'm sure in your courses here, in some sort of assignments, you also have groups and teams that you do your assignments, and this is a really very good experience that you are gaining right now, because at the very basic level you are understanding the dynamics. In any group in MBA, if you're doing some sort of an assignment, say if it's a group of 5, maybe one of the person is a bit relaxed, you won't do that much. One person will probably create some sort of problem. No, I don't like this, you have to do this. One person is generally, 1 or 2 persons are generally the drivers. No, we have that, they end up doing most of the work. And so every group has its own dynamics. And you observe the dynamics. It is very important. If you have a dispute within the group, then it means your group dynamics are not okay. So you have to understand each other's strengths and work around with it. A person who is smart, who is doing, yes, he or she will lead the project, he will do it. But it doesn't mean that, you just sit back and relax. You support wherever possible. So at the end of the day, the result which comes out reflects the whole team. It doesn't reflect that individual person who was brilliant, or it doesn't reflect that one person who was lazy. The result is the reflection of the team. So when the teams are together, that is where the success comes in, if they are gelling in well. Just want to show you a small video on this.
Once upon a time, a turtle and a rabbit had an argument about who was faster. They decided to settle the argument with a race. The turtle and the rabbit both agreed on a route and started off the race. The rabbit shot ahead and ran briskly for some time. Then, seeing he was far ahead of the turtle, he thought he'd sit under a tree for some time and relax before continuing the race. He sat under the tree and soon fell asleep. The turtle, plodding on, overtook him and soon finished the race. Emerging as the undisputed champ, the rabbit woke up and realized that he'd lost the race. The moral of the story is that slow and steady wins the race. This is the version of the story that we've all grown up with. But our version of the story continues. The rabbit was disappointed at losing the race, and he did some thinking. He realized that he'd lost the race only because he had been overconfident, careless, and lax. If he had not taken things for granted, there's no way the turtle could have beaten him. So, he challenged the turtle to another race. The turtle agreed. This time, the rabbit went all out and ran without stopping from start to finish. He won by several miles. The moral of the story? Fast and consistent will always beat the slow and steady. It's good to be slow and steady, but it's better to be fast and reliable. But the story doesn't end here. The turtle did some thinking this time and realized that there's no way he can beat the rabbit in a race the way it was currently formatted. He thought for a while and then challenged the rabbit to another race, but on a slightly different route. The rabbit agreed. The turtle and rabbit started off. In keeping with his self-made commitment to be consistently fast, the rabbit took off and ran at top speed until he came to a broad river. The finishing line was a couple of kilometers on the other side of the river. The rabbit sat there, wondering what to do. In the meantime, the turtle trundled along, got into the river, swam to the opposite bank, continued walking, and finished the race. The moral of the story: first, identify your core competency, and then change the playing field to suit your core competency. The story still hasn't ended. The turtle and rabbit by this time had become pretty good friends, and they did some thinking together. Both realized that the last race could have been run much better. So, the turtle and rabbit decided to do the last race again, but to run as a team this time. They started off, and this time, the rabbit carried the turtle till the riverbank. There, the turtle took over and swam across with the rabbit on his back. On the opposite bank, the rabbit again carried the turtle, and they reached the finishing line together. Both the turtle and rabbit felt a greater sense of satisfaction than they felt earlier. The moral of the story? It's good to be individually brilliant and to have strong core competencies, but unless you're able to work in a team and harness each other's core competencies, you'll always perform below par, because there will always be situations at which you'll do poorly and someone else does well. Teamwork is mainly about situational leadership, letting the person with the relevant core competency for a situation take leadership. And that is the end of the story.
Just about teamwork, it was very interesting. I really like this video, and we play this also internally. We have this annual vision and values celebration in our company every year. So we played this in our last event. Just want to end with two quotes from Albert Einstein. The first one is, "I have no specific talent. I am only passionately curious." I saw one quote here also about being curious. So in any organization,